welcome everybody, and thanks a lot for taking the time this morning to join us. I'm not sure about the mastermind thing, but I do appreciate the kind words. I've been in the industry for a long, long time. I've been hanging around for almost 50 years now. And so what that means to all of you and what that means for me is that I've had the chance to work with and be around the best and brightest in the industry. And that gives me a unique perspective when it comes to things like selecting software, looking at the situations that mechanical service providers have, the challenges that we have, and look at this in a unique way as far as selecting the proper partner moving forward. So today we're working, BuildOpps is a great partner of ours in the mechanical industry. And they have a great product, and we're going to talk a little bit about how to go about selecting that partner that's going to work for you moving forward, and creating the atmosphere that you're looking for with your company. When you're making this consideration, when you're trying to decide which way to go and what you're going to do, a couple of questions we have to ask ourselves, and more than anything, a couple of questions we have to ask our team. What are we looking to gain? What are we hoping will happen? Many of you probably have operational systems already, but maybe these operational systems aren't hitting the mark completely for you. For some of you, maybe you're still sort of old school. You're doing it with pen and paper. You're dispatching off of grease boards, and believe me, ladies and gentlemen, I've been there. I've had to do that in my career one time or another. So for all of those things, whether you're deciding to switch operational platforms or whether you're deciding to go with your very first, what are you looking to gain? And you have to be honest with yourself, and you have to bring in the rest of the team. What is the existing systems that you want to incorporate it? Is there an accounting piece to what you're doing currently that is a must-have? And what do you hope to improve? Field operations, dispatch, sales, accounting. We're going to talk about all of those types of things. But there's a few key things that you have to consider no matter what. And that is simply, are the systems that you're looking at, have they been designed for commercial service? Because there's lots of systems out there that have been designed by accounting software pieces, project management pieces, things like that aren't focused on commercial service. Is the partner that you're looking for focused on your business and the uniqueness of what you're trying to get accomplished? And more than anything, is this person that you're talking to, is this partner that you're hoping to work with actually active in the industry day in and day out? And that's a big part of it. These are some of the things that I have talked to a lot of my friends around the country, and these are some of the things that they've shared with us as far as what they were looking for in operational software and what changes they were hoping for. They're looking for a speed up in the billing cycle, improve communication with the team one way or another. And that's not just with their internal team, but their external team as well. And when I mean team, I mean everybody on the team. To give the field the tools that they need to be more efficient and to be able to communicate all of the information from the client to them and then back to the office at the same time. Help track and handle all of that customer information. Sort of one of the big things that we tout with our maintenance contracts is that we're the keeper of your information. We let you know, what sort of refrigerants you have, how much refrigerant you're using, what kind of equipment you're handling. Is there a recall on any of that equipment? All of that information is part of what we do. And it's almost impossible today to do that manually. So we all need to have some sort of friend, some sort of helper that's going to be able to help us get that done. And more than anything, the toughest job in the house is our dispatchers. They touch everybody. And we need to make sure that we have tools that are streamline and speed up their process so that they're not constantly on the phone or moving back and forth between screens. It's an important part to do. You start with your team, ladies and gentlemen. You bring them all into the room, and you talk to them about what they're looking for. With the field, it could be things like streamlining the team process, smooth data transfer, field to office communications, all of those types of things. Of course, accounting, it's billing, it's financial tracking and reporting, integration, paying the bills, collecting the money, all of those types of things. Excuse me. And then, of course, management and dispatch, the intuitive dispatch system that we talked about earlier, the adaptability to be able to work between service agreements and dispatch boards, skill-based scheduling, all of those things, and of course, tracking KPIs, key performance indicators for your management team with processes and procedures that you've got in place. The other big part of the team is sales. All our salespeople focused on and hitting the mark day in and day out. And then, of course, our projects, which is another challenge, especially if you're a service organization. Usually we track projects in service organizations manually a lot of times. And so to be able to have a system that works with you on labor management, cost tracking, equipment, submittal data, change orders, customer relations, clear future, all of those types of things is an important part to it. And Christian's going to talk to us here shortly about a couple of those key pieces and a couple of the things that are important that he's run across in his experience working with those types of things. One of the things that BuildOpps has done, and which I think is very unique, they've sat down with their clients and potential clients, and they talk to them specifically with dispatchers, technicians, different folks like that, and they've taken the time to actually dig deep as far as what the technicians see, what the dispatchers see, salespeople, all of those kinds of things. So a big piece with tech that they've heard from the techs is that, many cases they're working off of a phone, so they have to be able to navigate a system that is workable on a small device. Ease of use, minimal touches, service report completion. How many keystrokes does it take for them to complete a service report? In some cases, it takes as much time to do things electronically with some platforms as it does to do it manually. So that doesn't make too much sense for us, does it? Entering and accessing additional customer information. Who was at the site before them? What did they do? What did they find? Was it the same piece of equipment that they were working on? Asset management. All of the pieces of equipment that are in the building. How old are they? What are they doing? Have we been having problems with a specific piece of equipment? And to be able to track and see what they're doing on a day-to-day basis, and give that information back to the office in an efficient way, an efficient system. By doing this, BuildOpps has been able to identify bottlenecks and inefficiencies, and they can build that type of stuff back into the system. So, Christian, I know a big part of what you do on a regular basis is help contractors implement and get things going. Excuse me. I know one of the things that is a big deal for mechanical service providers is dispatching and scheduling. Do you mind sharing a little bit about your experiences with that?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Woody. Definitely is one of the most critical parts of the business, making sure the right tech gets the right job. And, talking to contractors every day and spending a lot of time in the offices of many small and large contractors across the US, I find it very interesting and almost entertaining to see the different ways that folks are scheduling and dispatching today. Many folks with software are supplementing their scheduling efforts with things like Excel, large whiteboards. I recently got back from one of our customers' locations in Oklahoma City, and they had about 45 service techs, so very healthy service operation. And they were running all of their dispatch on a 23-foot whiteboard. It's the biggest whiteboard I've ever seen. And every week, the dispatcher would move the date over, schedule up the jobs, erase everything on the previous week, and continue that very labor-intensive, administrative-intensive process. So what we found when it comes to helping contractors not only schedule jobs faster, but make sure the right tech gets there, is that it really does improve the field to office communications. You can drop an appointment on a scheduling board and the technician in BuildOpps will automatically receive a notification that they've been scheduled for a job versus playing the game of telephone back and forth. And if you multiply that times 40, the time saving in the field and in the office becomes significant. So we have a stat here that one of our customers, Homes Electric, was dispatching jobs. They had a situation similar to a whiteboard, and they were spending, roughly 25 to 35 minutes on a per job basis, making sure that all the communication was tight. The technician received the information that they need. They had the proper job details housed within the technician's appointment, and they needed to make sure the tech was, getting there on time and at the right location. With BuildOpps, it's really just an automated process of once you input the job information, you just assign a technician to it, and you can schedule a job in about 2 to 3 minutes, even faster for some of the folks that are working a heavy workload in the back office. They're scheduling jobs in 1 or 2 minutes, no problem. So it made a huge impact both in the office and the field. Another area that we've seen a lot of success with our customers, and it's a pretty big problem for the mechanical industry, is the management of various assets on your guys' customers' properties, right? So whether it's a couple RTUs at a small strip mall, or chillers and boilers in a more commercial enterprise location like a hospital or shopping mall, it's very important to make sure that you can not only document which equipment is on site, but also attach all of the repair history for that equipment. Woody, before I kind of keep diving into asset management here, maybe you could share some of the importance of, making sure that, hey, we get those right make, model, serial numbers. We know what the heck we've done to the piece of equipment.
Absolutely. And Christian, I've seen it happen, and I'm sure a lot of you out there have seen the same thing. Our guys get out in the field, they get busy, they start doing what they're supposed to be doing, and they forget to write down the model and serial number, or they forget to fill in some intricate pieces of information that is part of our job as a mechanical service provider, that information management that we have to do. And through a good, robust partner, a good, robust platform, you won't have that issue. You'll be able to get it in one time, and from then on, it's taken care of.
Also makes you look a lot better in front of your customer too, to have that data, to have that knowledge of, sometimes, very expensive assets that exist on site. The customer experience you can create with that, the report that you can send to that customer saying, hey, you spent, $20,000 in the last 3 years on this rooftop unit, like, let's get the heck out of here. It's, 15 years old type of deal. It really increases the professionalism and the bottom line of many of our customers' businesses.
Absolutely, Christian. And simple things like factory recalls or a factory issue with a piece of equipment. It's a very easy stroke of the key to find out how many pieces of equipment that is being recalled that you have out there under contract, and you can notify your client. Very impressive for our customers when we're able to reach out to them and say, hey, listen, we've got a free repair coming up through the manufacturer. So it works out pretty good.
Absolutely.
So ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, dispatch certainly and scheduling is certainly a big part of it, but there's other parts that go into all of this. As we move forward and we're trying to establish and look at, we're not naive. We know that you're not gonna just select a single provider. You're gonna talk to lots of different people, and you're gonna have to try to come up with the best decision for your company. And so as we start that process, there are certain things that we have to consider. You know, have you had those tough conversations with the entire team? If you can't meet all of their needs, all of the different pieces, what are the things that you have to have? What are the have-tos? The other big piece is to measure cost versus results. At the end of the day, you're looking for a partner that's going to be with you moving forward into the future, somebody that's going to be focused on the industry, and somebody that is going to have your best interest at heart. It's almost impossible to find a lot of those providers out there. You'd be hard pressed to find a whole bunch of folks that fall into that criteria. But it's an important thing to consider, is the future. Some of you are actually coming into your second or maybe even third process of finding a new platform. And why are you doing that? Because the first guy, for one reason or another, lost focus, or maybe went out of business, or is not supported the way you would like to see it. Nothing is more frustrating for a mechanical contractor to think that you've made a great decision, and then when you're trying to make the decision as to who to select, you can't get the guy, you can't get the provider off the phone. But once you've signed and you've got them on board and they've implemented the system, and you run into an issue, crickets. You can't get anybody on the phone. So it's important to be able to find somebody who's really focused on you and what's going to happen moving forward. And then how do the different departments interact currently? And is there some improvement that this system will provide for you? And it's not just within your system, but it's within your entire family of service providers. And what I mean by that is vendors and suppliers and manufacturers and all of those kinds of folks. How can we improve all of those communication streams to be able to better serve our clients moving forward, and to better serve our internal customers, all of the people that work for our companies, and what's happening. One of the things we've done is we've reached out to some contractors that have some considerable experience, and we've asked them for the good, the bad, and the ugly. And the first thing they said was, yeah, Woody's the ugly part of it. But they really, the fact of the matter is they shared with us some important information that we all ought to consider when we're looking at implementing a new piece of software. So some of the bad things is, as you go into this, an unclear expectation of what the expenses are going to be. How many of you have purchased software thinking that it's going to do A, B, C, and D, and then find out later that, oh my goodness, I've only purchased A, B, and C, and D and E is another cost to us moving forward. You got to make sure that you're clear with that, with all of the people that you're considering. Poor accounting integration is one of the biggest ones, and I think Christian's going to talk about that towards the end of our presentation, because it's such a big piece of what we have to do, and the important part of this particular system, or whatever system you decide to work with. Slow implementation, poor responsiveness, no or very little support. All tough challenges, and it happens. Like I said, these folks are on the phone talking to you, talking up the system all day long. Once you've signed, all of a sudden, it's hard to get any support whatsoever. Some of the pluses that they said, some of the things that really went well for them when they partnered with a great partner, they went from 14 days to a 4-day billing cycle. Can you imagine billing 14 days out? And ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. I've worked with enough mechanical contractors around the country to tell you that is not unusual. And the toughest part about it is There are some folks out there that are even longer than 14 days. And there's lots of reasons for that. And sometimes we're our own worst enemies when it comes to things like that. But a big part of it is streamlining the processes and having the good tools that you're going to need to move forward. Greater customer satisfaction. I spoke to one contractor that implemented a new system here I guess it was about a year or two ago, and he said his customer satisfaction rating, and they do a great job of measuring that. His customer satisfaction rating has gone through the roof since he's been able to track all of the information that's coming in, bill on a timely fashion, take care of the client in an expeditious manner. All of those things are huge when it comes to customer satisfaction and customer service. And then more than anything, I think to a man, all of them have said better communications, especially with sales. How often have your guys been out working on a job, and the salesperson who sold that job, who has that relationship, and in many times has one of the best relationships within your organization, doesn't even know that the client has had an issue or is working currently, we're working currently to take care of an issue for them. It's important that our salespeople stay engaged with the clients, even after they've signed a maintenance contract or even after they've come on board. Why is that? Because we want to make sure that the customer understands that our entire company is engaged for them and moving forward. And through the right platform, the right service provider, the right piece of software will help us do that. So part of the process is certainly whittling it down to a couple of service providers, and then really focusing in on those service providers. One of the things that Chris and I have talked about a lot is actually making this sort of like an interview. You know, we're hiring these people. They're going to be part of our company for a long, long time. And so we have to evaluate who they are, how they do things, you know, how do they go to market, but also what are they going to be doing a year from now? Are they still going to be focused on our industry and what we're trying to do? So some of the things that, as you're interviewing these folks, you need to talk about, you want to talk about implementation. You want to talk about their experience in the industry, and focus on their experience in the industry. If they send two accountants out to talk to you, there may be a problem. If they have nobody on board that has any experience in the industry, there may be a problem. You know, what sort of training is available, and is there advanced training moving forward as your people upgrade, or as you get additional folks on board, you know, as part of your team? What's their customer focus? And I'm not talking about you as the customer. Inevitably, this piece of software is going to work for your customers, the people that you deal with day in and day out. So how is this piece of software going to help you with your customer focus moving forward? Initiatives, are they adaptive? Are they ahead of the curve? Are they focused on the future? Are they looking at the industry and what's going to happen to the industry moving forward? Perfect example of that is the new refrigerants that are coming out. You know, the fact that these new refrigerants are actually mildly flammable brings a whole new issue to all of you as mechanical contractors. How do we transport it? How do we ventilate? You know, what are our ventilation needs? How about placards? All of those types of stuff. What kind of information do you have to have or give to your clients if you're installing those types of things? All of those things are important, and you need a partner that's looking at all of those kinds of things. Are they receptive to feedback? Do they listen to what you're saying? I've worked with companies before that, you know, I go, hey, you know, this darn thing, this is what's happening. This is what's going on. Yeah, sure, no problem. We'll look at that. And they hang up, and I know exactly what they're saying. Hey, guy's full of crap. He doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. Pricing, of course, that's a big part of what you're going to talk about. Ongoing support is huge. Long-term partnership, I think, is probably one of the most important things to consider, ladies and gentlemen. You want a partner that's going to be there. This is not just a transaction. This is a relationship that you're entering into, and you need folks that are going to be focused on those types of things. Christian, if I missed anything when we're talking about this type of interview process?
I guess one kind of general question I have for you, Woody, is we talked about a lot of stuff and kind of some of the advantages of technology. I think everyone, every contractor knows, whether you're using technology now or you're planning to in the future, that it's going to be a critical part of the business. A lot of times when I'm on site with customers, I see, some resistance. Sometimes it's from the office, sometimes it's from the field. I know you have a lot of experience working with guys in the field, being out there yourself, managing teams. Why do you think, with there's being so much, positive implications of implementing a software program, where do you think that hesitation comes from? And also, on that same note, is there anything during the selection process that could be uncovered to maybe, help the technicians and the field workers, change management process and transition there?
That's a great question, Christian. And I'll tell you, I think your last statement, you hit the nail right on the head. Change is tough. A change in the mechanical service industry seems to be even tougher. Folks get used to simple processes and procedures, and it works, and they're making money, and everybody is okay. But let's face it, ladies and gentlemen, okay is not good enough for us in today's industry. We know we have to be better than just okay. And so in order to get to that, I think a couple of things that we could do. One thing is what we talked about earlier. Get everybody involved up front. Get their input. Ask them to give you feedback as to what you would like to see. If we had a magic wand, we could do anything we wanted. What is it you would like to see us do? And once you've gotten that done, and once you're at this point of the process where you're interviewing and talking to folks, now bring them back in again and ask them to ask some of those tough questions. Hey, look, you say we're gonna be able to implement this thing in a short period of time. I got guys that don't even know how to turn a computer on, much less use them. The best thing they do with their smartphone is 2 years ago, I was able to get them to text, and that's the best I can do right now. So it's important to understand that, especially some of the older guys like me that didn't grow up with computers. It's a hard change, and that hard change, you have to be patient, and you have to be focused, and you have to reassure everybody that, hey, look, this new system is not going to replace any person. This new system is not going to replace anything that you do. We value all of that you bring to the company. This is just going to make your job a little bit easier. And the more you can reinforce that, Christian, I think the more successful you're going to be with that change. That's for sure.
Yeah, I think that's key. The making their job easier, saving them time, not adding more complexity, allowing them to get on and off the job site faster, and have an easier time staying organized, really.
Absolutely. So you need to systemize your process as you're moving forward with it. You need to be able to leverage fair and comprehensive comparison of the people that have made the last cut. You need to look at all of the pieces that we've talked about and the parts to their company. And when you reach this point where you're looking at 2 or 3 possibilities, that's when you really need to drill down like a laser into their companies and what they're doing and what they're all about and what's their focus, what's their mission statement, core values, and all of the things that are important to us as entrepreneurs and mechanical service providers. We need to do the same thing with our our potential partners. Consider all of your needs and emphasize the critical ones to this potential partner. But more than anything is when you're emphasizing those critical ones, you have to be crystal clear with them that this is not negotiable. We have to have these 5 things to be able to move forward. I think one of the greatest things you can do as you get to this process is ask to speak to the leader, the owner of the company, somebody who is running the entire show. Why? Very simply, if they can't get you an opportunity to speak either by phone or Zoom or whatever it may be to the owner of the company within a couple of days, then you've got a problem. And in some of these situations, ladies and gentlemen, they won't be able to get you to that level. You might be able to talk to a regional manager or a sales manager or somebody like that, but to talk to the head guy, that is an important part of it, because there may come a time through your relationship with this partner that you need to speak to that head guy to emphasize an issue that you may have. Look for that common focus, the synergy in the organization, what we talked about earlier. Core values, mission statement, focus, how do they treat their people? How do they focus on their team? How do they grow their team? You want to be able to assign an internal champion. And it goes back to what you were talking about earlier, Christian. When you are able to have a specific person as a go-to to this potential partner or these 2 companies that you're talking to, you're getting all of your answers through that one filter. If you had 4 or 5 people, you might have 4 or 5 different filters that you get it through. So with that one internal champion, that'll help you tremendously as far as getting consistent and cohesive discussions. At the end of the day, if you found a company that has met your needs and looked at everything, who do you really want to partner with long term? Who is going to meet all of your needs, all of your focus, and all of the things that are important to you? And that's the person you want to partner with. Those are the people you want to deal with, period. So our contractor friends shared with us some lessons they learned as they were trying to make their decision. And one of them was appoint one point of contact for implementation as well. Why is that? Well, if you filter everything through that one person and they have your partner has one person to deal with, they can get some consistency as far as taking care of business. You need to be adequately prepared for change and change management. And that's what we talked about earlier, Christian, is change management's the toughest thing out there, especially for mechanical service providers. So you have to prepare for that. And the way you do that is getting everybody on board and everybody part of this process. Better understand the complete service, the support offered, know what you're paying for, know what you're going to be able to take care of. Talk to more people in the industry, get input from all of the internal departments in your business. And even people that aren't going to be dealing with this. Maybe you have a construction side of your business. Talk to them about how this system is going to improve their life as well. And you know what? We're going to talk about something to tackle that accounting issue up front. It seems one of the biggest and the toughest challenges out there is the accounting in connection and some of the process. And Christian, I'm going to sort of turn it over to you because this is the tough part. I'm going to let you do the tough part. But the accounting tripwire is tough. It really is. Christian, share what you have, buddy.
Definitely. So yeah, accounting something that we spend a lot of time thinking about. If the money is not accurate and you're not able to easily see, what your profit margins on, a service agreement are on a job or on a larger project, you're kind of really left in the dark in terms of, what's making you money or what's, maybe even losing you money. So we have chose to integrate with a few best in class accounting providers, a couple off the top of my head that I would highly recommend to everyone. And by the way, we don't have any skin in the game with any one accounting provider. There's no money being exchanged or referrals or anything like that. But just from working with hundreds of contractors, what we've seen is that on the smaller side of the market, if you're running $20 million and under, which is probably 80% of the contractors out there, QuickBooks tends to be the power player. They've released a lot more functionality with their cloud-based version, including the ability to even manage larger projects. Many of you folks may be on an accounting system already that's tied to the construction arm of your business. Maybe you're struggling to run service on it, but hey, 90% of the business is construction, and a program like, Vista does a great job at that, and Spectrum does a great job at that. So those are two specific ones, both under the Viewpoint umbrella, Vista and Spectrum, that we've chose to integrate with and that we've had extreme success with. And the kind of last one that we have up here for those that like to be on the bleeding edge of technology is Sage Intacct. So many of you have heard of Sage 300. Sage 100, Sage 50, Peachtree, names that have been around for decades in the construction industry. Sage Intacct is the newest cloud-based offering, and Sage actually bought Intacct as a company for over $1 billion. So they really put some money where their mouth was when it comes to making sure that contractors have, the same technology that every other industry has that we are lacking in, and that's just robust, cloud-based, easy to use modern software. So seeing a lot of exciting things out of Sage Intacct, and they're definitely ones you want to keep an eye on. When it comes to things we do that, make the accounting integration seamless with our service offering, the ability to automatically sync information from one platform to the other is really the crux of it, and to make sure that's done down to, the penny in the most accurate way possible. So, BuildOpps, we're modern, we're cloud-based, we have APIs. Many of you have heard of APIs, which really just means it's easy for us to plug into other platforms. We can integrate into all kinds of different systems quite easily. So by putting a lot of effort on those accounting integrations, it takes off some of the burden of trying to run service in a platform that's just not designed to run service, because you can't really grow your service if you're using a platform that is designed for construction accounting. Even though these are great partners to have, they weren't designed for service. So many of our customers have said, hey, we want a best in breed solution. We can't find it on the service side. Who do you integrate with? And that's where our strategy came from, just from pure customer feedback, which is really how the product, at large is driven, but especially on the accounting side. So the piece of advice I would give to everyone is, if you're using a system and you're going to integrate your accounting into it, make sure that the software providers that you're talking to can show you that integration. Ask them, worst case, send me a video of what that integration looks like going back and forth for the data transfer. That's an easy question. Everyone should be able to do that. Ask for details on which fields sync and which directions they sync. That's that's an Excel spreadsheet I send my customers. It's nothing fancy, but they need to know, hey, tax rate comes from Vista. If I create a new customer in BuildOpps, it sends it over to Vista. So there's the different directional flows that you should be aware of, and make sure that it aligns with, your accounting department as well as the operational team. And those are just a couple of things that I think, you want to be very diligent on when you're looking at, hey, what systems can I plug in together? Make sure that they play nicely. And lastly, probably grab a customer reference that has used the similar integration too, just to verify that, hey, this is exactly what I think it is, and what you're getting into.
Yeah. And ladies and gentlemen, we spent a little time on this accounting piece for a reason. it seems to be a tripwire for a lot of companies, just simply because, as Christian stated earlier, they're working on a piece of software, an accounting software that is focused on construction and not service, and it's a different animal. It's a different way that you have to do business, and so you have to change that up a little bit. You at least consider changing that up a little bit, and then go from there. So we got it down to the last little bit. We're ready to make our final decision. We've got some tools for you, and Christian's going to talk to you about both of these pieces of paper that you'll have access to. And these are just simply score sheets so that you can go down and actively put a score down so that you can track and understand who truly is the best partner for you moving forward into the future. Christian.
Sure. And both these, if you go to the BuildOpps website, are available for download, and we can send out the links too. But the two documents you see here are a software score sheet and a broad matrix. I think the best way to evaluate any software, maybe even any process change, but definitely any software, is to kind of start high level. And that's what the broad matrix says. It helps you understand what you're looking for, what problems you're solving, and it will help you focus into, some of the finer details and really pain points that you need to relieve within your business to be more profitable. So I think that's a great starting point. Woody's been using that for a long time with his consulting business, which is also an excellent service. Plug for Woody. But that is, again, kind of at the broad level. And once you've completed that, we also have a software score sheet on the left-hand side here that will really help you compare apples to apples when you're looking at different software providers. Not only will it help you compare them, it will help you rate them on a different core functionality within that product. So you have a rating system built in, and then also a large section just to put in any notes that you've been taking during, the demonstration process. Things like, how attentive is the company? Are they running late to meetings? Can I get a hold of them? Just things that will help, your team sit around the conference table and discuss, who the right partner is and what's the best fit for you, because it's definitely a partnership. Some people like to say, you're the software vendor, and I'll say, yeah, we're a software vendor, but it truly is a marriage. You're spending a lot of time and effort and energy implementing a tool like an operational piece of software, and the average contractor holds on to their operational software for nearly 15 years, which is a good thing and a bad thing depending on where you're at in that 15-year mark. But that's the types of relationships that you're going to have. So being able to really get detailed on the scoring, both on the kind of quantitative stuff and then the softer, just, hey, how does this company interact? How is their team? How supportive are they? Being able to have all that feedback in one place will really just make for better decisions and buy-in with your team, and hopefully make sure you select that right partner.
Perfect. So, ladies and gentlemen, we've talked about a lot of things today, and we've covered a lot of ground. We've given you a couple of tools to take home with you to be able to move to the next step. On behalf of Customer Focused Solutions and BuildOpps, we really want to thank everybody for all of their time and effort today. We appreciate the opportunity to be in front of you. My name is Woody. Christian is the other handsome rascal that's here on this presentation. You have all of our contact information, and please feel free to give a call and talk to us. And I mean, even if it doesn't have anything to do with software or anything like that, I mean, we're pretty friendly guys. We'd be happy to help in any way, shape, or form.